Hello, everyone. Master Soda Man here. This is the Jedi of the Multiverse podcast, where we talk Star Wars, Marvel, Disney, and really whatever else we feel like. So remember, concentrate on the moment. Feel, don't think, and use your instincts as we navigate this vast multiverse of books, TV series, movies, and more. This is Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. A little late on the podcast this week. We ran into where I wasn't feeling well for a couple days, so I wanted to start off and apologize for having the late podcast. But we're here. We're here nonetheless, episode 3. And I wanted to talk a bit today about where we're at in Star Wars now. What's coming out, what's happening, and how awesome of a time it is for Star Wars. Whether it be the books, whether it be TV, movies, upcoming, everything. There's so much coming out. We just got that announcement of the Book of Boba Fett trailer, which was just outstanding. So I figured we could dive into a little bit of that today, talk a little bit about the projects coming up, a little bit of the Book of Boba Fett, maybe Bad Batch Season 2, Mandalorian Season 3, and these upcoming, we got announcements for Ahsoka, we've got announcements for Kenobi, and we can talk about Andor Acolyte and some of the books, because it is an amazing time for Star Wars right now with all the releases that have happened, whether you're talking about, season 1 and 2 of Mandalorian, you're talking about Visions, which was just amazing. And we're going to talk a little bit about Ronin, the book that came out by Emma Candon, which was just fantastic, which follows right from the Duel episode on forward. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. And we're going to talk about some High Republic. And just, it's really going to be like a nerding out kind of episode, because there's just so much Star Wars. And after you've lived, so long, waiting for Star Wars content and it did start with The Force Awakens coming out, but you had a drought for years of actual Star Wars content. Yeah, you had the Clone Wars and Rebels TV series, but you didn't have like a plethora of Star Wars content like we have now. So let's start off a little bit with the Book of Boba Fett and the trailer, because amazing. That trailer got me so excited. And it's, start off right from the beginning right there. We see the Bomar order, the brain monks and the spider droids. That was an amazing thing to see, especially since they were in, Return of the Jedi. They were just like behind C-3PO and R2, like in the very beginning. And you really didn't see it. Like, they've made toys. I remember toys being made of the Bomar spider. I remember that being made. I think there used to be like a 3-pack of, and I forget what it was, like Jabba's Palace Menagerie or Jabba's Palace Denizens. It's like not citizens, but denizen. I forget what the word was, but I remember a 3-pack with them in it, and just seeing that off like the rip was amazing to see. To have them include them in there, and I know in the trailer, if you look at it, they made it look very stop motion like, which was, I don't know if that was, what they were really going for, or maybe that's just what happened with it. Maybe they were trying to tie it close to that of, Return, what we saw in Return of the Jedi. But I mean, just to start it off with that was just very cool. And it was a tie-in that, I saw some people didn't necessarily know or when they really realized what it was later, then they were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it's in there." That's cool to see. So I thought we'd start off with that. And then we see, Boba put his helmet on, and there's a little conversation there, or a little dialogue, not really conversation, where it's like, I heard you're a bounty hunter. He's like, not anymore. And he's like, that's not what I heard. And there's an Ithorian sitting like on a throne thing. And of course, my mind, because I've been to Black Spire Outpost so many times, I see him and I think, is that Doc Ondar? Because they also mentioned Doc Ondar in Solo. They brought his name up, for a quick little thing in Solo, but kind of when I saw him, I was like, ooh, is it Doc Ondar? I mean, it could be someone totally different. It could be not Doc Ondar at all. It could just be an Ithorian from some other crime syndicate that's, he's trying to recruit or talk to say like, hey, I'm starting this new thing here, and I want you to be a part of it, and I'm gonna rule with respect instead of fear. Maybe that's something he talks to with this Ithorian. But I saw him, and the first thing I had to think was Doc Ondar, and you can't really blame me, because going to Disney and going to Batuu and Galaxy's Edge, and you see Doc Ondar all the time there, you're like, it would be cool if we could see him in the flesh a little bit. If we could see, like, maybe what he's doing and how he got into Antiquities, and maybe that was, via the crime syndicate, as we heard in Solo, and now maybe this tie-in together would be cool. And speaking of Solo, Kira, I believe we're absolutely going to see come back. Like, I think there will be an appearance of Kira in the Book of Boba Fett. I think it's just has to happen. There's definitely gonna be some tie-ins with like Crimson Dawn, maybe Black Sun, the Pike Syndicate, the Cremora Syndicate. I don't know. There's so many different things that they could do, and so many syndicates we could see play out on screen, and maybe fights, maybe negotiations, all different kinds of things could happen. But when I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, okay, maybe Doc Ondar, and he was mentioned in Solo, and now we're gonna talk about the crime syndicate and the underworld. Kira could come back, and I wouldn't see that as being anywhere out of place with her coming back. I think she could 100% come back, feed into the story, see some Crimson Dawn, stuff going on, maybe, a fight. Maybe we have them arguing over territory. Maybe, he's overstepping his bound, and Crimson Dawn and Kira's like, no, these are our guys. We are the top of the top, and if you're going to try to come after us, we're going to hunt you down. And then Boba's like, well, I don't care. I'm going to beat your asses anyway. I just think it could happen. I think that it wouldn't be out of place to see Kira come back, especially now with the Book of Boba Fett. And also, since we're talking about people we might see, what other bounty hunters are we going to see? Are we going to see Dengar? Are we going to see Bosk? I mean, there's so many opportunities for, kind of maybe like The Mandalorian kind of did somewhat of a cameo, like every couple, episodes or so. We saw so many things happen there. So I think, and it was successful. Mandalorian was very successful, and I think the way they played their cameos was fantastic, and I think that they didn't feel out of place, and they didn't feel forced. They felt fit with the narrative, in the plot of what was going on. So they showed up when they needed to. And I think that there's absolutely a possibility of seeing more cameos of, these guys that we want to see. And I could even dare to say Omega. Are we going to see Omega? Maybe? Because now, since we met her, in the Bad Batch, and technically she would be around the same age, or the same age as Boba, because she was, the first, and he was kind of the first right there too. That was, as the request to be the first. So I think we could see Omega. Maybe not, because maybe it's too much of a force. I don't know. This is wishful thinking, guys. I'm just thinking, hey, what would be cool to see? And with everything that's going on, it's just a really cool time. And that trailer with the action, and I think that people wanted to see a trailer that had a lot more action, maybe, to have a trailer that had like him really going nuts, but we kind of saw him go nuts, in Mandalorian. So I think the trailer and the way that it was positioned to show that this is going to be like a Godfather type underworld, crime syndicate, mafia feeling kind of show, I think it set that tone off very well right off the bat. I'm just super, super excited for it. Two, let's talk about some Ahsoka too, because of course, after, with seeing the trailer and all, we also heard that Anakin, Hayden Christensen, is going to be coming back and making appearances in not only Kenobi, but now Ahsoka. So that gets, the creative juices flowing in the thoughts of what could happen and what we're going to see. Are we going to have like Force Ghost talks with them together? Are we going to see, maybe flashbacks of stuff that happened maybe in like Clone Wars, maybe even some of the stuff that happened between them and Rebels? Are we going to see a real life flashback of some of the stuff that happened there? Because that would be insane. I think I speak for everybody, both Ahsoka and Anakin Skywalker fans, that would think that would be insanely cool. Now, those are just the things that we think about, but I don't know. Could they play a different role? Maybe it's not really a Force Ghost Anakin or flashbacks, but maybe what if she has nightmares? What if it's nightmares of her thinking about the memories of them, being Master and Padawan, and maybe she thinks of the things that turned him to the dark side, and maybe she's rethinking about when she left the Order. Maybe she's thinking about some times that they spent together, where maybe she thought he was going down that route, and maybe she thought she could have done something. Maybe that's something we're going to see that she struggled with during her time after she left, and after the events of Clone Wars and Rebels and what happened. And now we could even throw in with the Mandalorian, with Luke picking up Grogu. Does Luke and Ahsoka meet at any point, and maybe they have a heart-to-heart, and could we possibly see an Ahsoka, Luke, Anakin kind of thing happen? With Force Ghost Anakin, maybe Luke and Ahsoka are talking, and she's saying, he went to the dark side, and I couldn't do anything, and then Luke, says, well, he was redeemed. He came back to the light side. He saved me, from Emperor Palpatine. Maybe they have that talk amongst themselves, and maybe that's an emotional breakdown, or not breakdown, but an emotional moment between Luke and Ahsoka over, his dad, her master, and the bond that they shared. And maybe she'll tell him stories. Maybe, they there's just one scene where they just see each other, and they run into each other for something, or she's on a mission and she runs into him, and they have to fight side by side, and then after they are resting and they're talking and they're going over memories and thoughts and what happened, and then maybe after they converse, Force Ghost Anakin comes up. I think that would just be amazing to see. I think that would be something that would be just not just a fan service, but something that would be a little bit different, something that would have an emotional meaning, a significant meaning, and would be a way to tie things together, so that Ahsoka knows that her master at the end was redeemed. And I just think that would speak volumes. Now, I don't think that would be anywhere near the beginning of the series. That would have to be like a last episode, maybe leaning to a cliffhanger for season 2 or something. But I could see something like that playing out, and thinking of how beautiful of a moment that would be for Star Wars. And even so, for people that aren't Star Wars fans necessarily, if they were to watch Ahsoka and kind of see that moment, I think that's something that could be relatable for everybody. Everybody wants to see good for their loved ones and their friends. And they know that sometimes in life, bad things happen. They go down a road where it's darkness, and they're consumed by their feelings and their thoughts, and and sometimes other things. But how great would it be to see that play out, and for a non-Star Wars fan that is watching this, it just happens upon it and is like, hey, I want to check this out. If that moment were to happen, how much meaning that would have for Star Wars fans and for non-Star Wars fans. I think that would be glorious. So that's a little bit of my hope of kind of what I would like to see in Ahsoka, and maybe a moment, a scene play out that would hit everybody, and it would hit everybody in a way that's relatable to everyday life, no matter how much Star Wars you consume or not. I just think that would be good. 2, looking for Thrawn and Ezra. Of course, that's going to be a big part of it. And how cool is it going to be to see a real life live action version of Thrawn and Ezra? I don't know if I'll be able to process it in my mind. If I see Thrawn and Ezra in live action on screen, it's going to be as big as when we saw Ahsoka. When she came out and she was hooded and just slicing down. It's going to have that kind of pull, I think. To see Thrawn and Ezra living and breathing flesh and blood on the screen. I just think about how amazing that is going to be, and how fulfilling that's gonna be. It's just insane. Now I don't know. I've looked at a couple of the plot points on what they think's gonna happen and all, but of course they just say looking for Thrawn and Ezra. But of course she met with Sabine at the end of Rebels and was like, hey, we're gonna look for him. But is that the part we're going to see, or are we going to see something else? And even saying that, are we going to see Sabine? Are we going to see Hera? Chopper, Zeb? Are we going to see any of those guys? Because that would be insane too. Now, this is all hopeful and wishful thinking, because I mean that's a lot of cameos to see all these guys. And I'm not just talking for Ahsoka, but I mean I just said a whole bunch of cameos I want to see in Book of Boba Fett too. So I know, but you know that's what happens when you're thinking about these shows that you've waited to kind of see more content on, and to see them in the flesh and blood. You know, it just really makes you excited. So, you know, for Ahsoka, you know, are we going to see those guys? Are we going to have that kind of, you know, scene and moment where maybe we see Luke and Ahsoka together talking about, you know, Anakin and all that? And how is this looking for Thrawn and Ezra going to pan out? It's very exciting. Now we can move to Kenobi, which, as much as I'm excited for Book of Boba Fett and for Ahsoka, I'd maybe 10 times more excited for Kenobi, maybe 20 times more excited. I love Kenobi, you know, and I loved Kenobi, you know, even back in episode 1 with Qui-Gon, because I loved Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon's my favorite Jedi. He's just by far my favorite, and I don't know if you guys have read Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray, which dives into their relationship, into Qui-Gon's and Obi-Wan's prior to The Phantom Menace. But it's absolutely worth a read. Go check it out. You know, maybe you go listen to it on Audible, or, you know, you can pick it up like at Barnes & Nobles or Books A Million, maybe even like Amazon or stuff. I think it's like $8 or $9 for the paperback. And it's cool cover art. So if you collect Star Wars, you should absolutely pick it up. But that dives into the early goings of Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn. But, you know, because we just dove back in time, let's talk about what we could see in Kenobi. And I think in Kenobi, just as I said for kind of Ahsoka, maybe there's going to be some PTSD kind of vibes to this one. I don't think it's going to be straight and narrow. I think it's going to be, you know, a tale. You know, it's going to be a battle. I think it's going to be a lot of soul searching. It's going to be a lot of emotions in this one because of what happened, you know, in episode 3, in Revenge of the Sith. And, you know, you were my brother, Anakin, and you know, I loved you. And how much, if you even just thinking about that scene makes me want to just tear up. Like, I can feel it in my nose right now, just thinking about just the passion and that when the Battle of Mustafar happened. And I think he's gonna have these thoughts and visions while he's looking over, you know, Luke, you know, on Tatooine. And I think it's gonna be an emotional kind of battle here. I think it's gonna be a feeling and a learning, especially learning for him because, you know, of course we see, you know, in Rebels when Maul hunts him down on Tatooine after they, you know, learn of the holocron, and he gets the information from Ezra, and then, you know, that altercation goes down. If you haven't watched Rebels and you don't know what I'm talking about, you gotta go watch Rebels right now. Like, you turn this off, go watch Rebels. I'm trying to remember even what episode. I mean, it's I think it's what, season 4 or 5, season 5, and I think it's like one of the last episodes. And there's a confrontation with Maul and Kenobi, and you absolutely have to watch that. So if you haven't, go watch that now. For everybody else that stays, because they have already seen that, you know, we saw him there, and he seemed, you know, resolute. He seemed, you know, just like regular Obi-Wan. But we know between there and between what happens in A New Hope, you know, when he does actually come forward, you know, to Luke, you know, and he's like, hey, I'm looking for Ben Kenobi. And he's like, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. He's like, have you heard of him? Oh, that's me, you know. I think, and also when there's the pause, when he has a pause, um, before when he first hears Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he kind of, it looks like his mind is just rushing, like rushing with all these thoughts and these feelings. So are we gonna see where they have a kind of PTSD, kind of, again, a memory searching feeling? Maybe when he's watching Luke, he's feeling like a father from afar, watching, this kid grow up from someone that was his brother, feeling like an uncle, for this young kid that doesn't know what happened to his father, doesn't know the story of his father, and it has to effectively, live in kind of a hiding, from this, until the time is correct. So, Kenobi, I'm just super excited for. I think there's a million different things that they could do here, for him. I think they could show us, those early days, on Tatooine when he first goes there. I think he could tell us all these, maybe, these chances of people trying to, almost finding out, about Luke, and he's kind of like pushing it away to keep him safe. I think there's just so much subject matter that could happen, and that they could pull these ideas from even movies and TV that aren't necessarily Star Wars, but more, keeping people safe and that kind of feel. I think, I'm just very excited for it. But again, I think this one's going to be very emotional, just like Ahsoka can have with Anakin there. I think Kenobi's series is going to be absolutely emotional and in a good way, in a feeling for Obi-Wan way, and in a feeling for Luke, and feeling for the situation. I'm just super excited. And all these projects, that at one point we didn't think that we would ever really have. It's amazing that we're getting all this stuff, that we didn't have before, and all these new projects that we didn't think we necessarily needed, but now we're like, well, we want that. Think Mandalorian season 3, Bad Batch season 2. I am ecstatic for those. And as we've said, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Kenobi, super excited. We're not even like hitting the rest of them. We have Andor coming out. We have Lando. We have the Acolyte. I think we have a droid story. We have Rogue Squadron, the movie. We have Rangers of the New Republic. There's all these things that are going to be coming out. And I think, Rangers of the New Republic, Andor, Lando, the Acolyte, and a droid story are also coming out in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. Which just means there's a lot going to be happening next year. And we're only a couple months away. I mean, we're only 1 month effectively away from the Book of Boba Fett, because that comes out in December. We're like just right there. We're almost there. We're about to cross the finish line into seeing some new stuff. And then, let's talk about some of the other stuff that we've already seen, and we can hit that, good with Visions. We had a TV show where they took Star Wars to different animation studios and said, let's see what stories you want to do. And they created these amazing, wonderful, and I think subjects that could be pushed right into canon. They don't have to necessarily be, fully out of canon, or they don't necessarily have to be on, on just a Vision season 2 where it just stays in its own thing. Like if you look at The Village Bride and the things they do there, I would love to see that, or like, some of that story put into, like a new Star Wars movie that's canon. Or The Ninth Jedi. I know a lot of people in The Ninth Jedi don't really like the lightsaber smith and how the blades changed based on who was holding it, and the light side and the dark side, and some people that are really super canon are like, well, that's silly. But the other pieces of it, of them going and being like some of the last Jedi, and this altercation, and this young girl who's strong with the Force, gets this kind of opportunity. It just screamed where that could be in canon somewhere. They could do a whole movie based off of the Ninth Jedi, and I would be happy. I would be ecstatic, because I thought that was an amazing, amazing show, and it was a great episode with a chance to push Star Wars even further. So I was super excited for that, and that's even more that's Star Wars we wouldn't have got 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe. It's this type of Star Wars where you give studios an opportunity to put some thoughts and ideas in the Star Wars universe, only pushes more ideas and thoughts of where Star Wars could go, and it brings opportunity, and it's very exciting. So I thought Visions was great. With the Duel, Village Bride, The Ninth Jedi, and The Elder were my favorites. They were just, I could watch them every day. I could watch them on loop for hours and be happy, and that's amazing to think about. But we can even see how that dove into books now, because Visions, the Duel, as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, laid out a book called Ronin by Emma Candon, which was fantastic, by the way. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it at Barnes & Noble's, Books A Million, a billion other places, Audible. But I would suggest getting the hard copy book, because there's some art in there on the first sleeve and the back sleeve that are, from the show, which are just amazing. But the things that they do, that Emma writes in that book, are again these amazing thoughts on where Star Wars could go, and these things that they could implement, these little pieces into canon, and it would be super cool. And I've always read the books. One of my first Star Wars books that I really, really read was Lost Stars by Claudia Gray, and I loved that book. I probably reread it maybe 10 or 15 times, because I love it that much. But I've read a lot of Star Wars. I have a whole bookshelf of Star Wars behind me, next to me, and then I have a box of books that I've yet to be able to put on a bookshelf, because we're still looking at moving. But all these books that are coming out, Visions, with Ronin coming out, and then the High Republic books. We have, The Last Jedi, The Last Jedi, Light of the Jedi, I'm sorry. The Rising Storm, Out of the Shadows, Into the Dark, what is it? Race at Crash Point, which is a young adult's novel. And then we have Wave 3 coming out soon. which is like I am just ecstatic for. Oh yeah, Test of Courage too by Justina Ireland is very good too. That's like a young adult book as well. Renestra is in there, but it's just a great time to be in Star Wars content right now. And I'm not necessarily saying the podcast, but like enjoying Star Wars and what's coming out and what's exciting and what's new. There's so many things that are exciting and to look forward to. And it's going to be amazing to see what's coming out. I cannot wait for the next wave of the High Republic. Light of the Jedi was phenomenal. And then the Rising Storm just crushes your spirits because, I mean, just Kevin Scott, if you've read any of Kevin Scott, he's just a soul crusher. He's the leveler. That's exactly what he... I'm just joking. I love Kevin Scott. I love his books. Dooku, Jedi Lost, great book by him. But he has a way of throwing some things in there that just like are just a knife to your heart. But that that happens. That's what a good author does is they lay things out and they make you feel for characters and situations, and then they play with them a little bit. so that's what happens. And the Rising Storm was fantastic, and I can't wait for this next wave that comes out. And I forget exactly when this next wave is coming out. I think it's early 2022. I don't know 100%. I'll have to look. But it's all just very, 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 very exciting. It's a great time for Star Wars. There's many great projects that are coming out that are exciting and are things that could very well be just iconic and relatable and emotional and just pieces of art. They could absolutely come out and just usher in a new era for Star Wars. And it's just very exciting, as I said. So, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Kenobi, the books, the High Republic, and then we're talk Andor, Lando, the Acolyte, a droid story, Rangers of the New Republic, Lando, Rogue Squadron, and so on and so forth until hopefully, when I'm 190, they're still producing Star Wars movies and TV shows every year, because that's what it is. It's something that can last for generations and generations and generations, and it's just a great time. It's a great time. Star Wars is for everybody. I love seeing what's happening. I'm very excited for the future. I'm so damn hyped for these shows to come out. November 8th is actually Disney Plus Day, so on that day there's gonna be some stuff released. I think they said a couple things about some releases for Kenobi, Ahsoka, and a few other things. So maybe, who knows what else they could show us. They could drop just a huge bomb on us, which I'll probably, if they do a big trailer announcement thing for, Disney Plus Day, that's it all in one. I'm going to do a reaction. I'm going to put that up on the YouTube over at Jedi of the Multiverse as well. So keep eyes open for that. That could happen. So yeah, Disney Plus Day, November 8th. Could potentially see even more content come out, which is just, as I said, it's a great time for Star Wars. I'm excited. I hope you are all excited. I can't wait to talk to you more about this and what potentially comes out. We're going to start doing, as I said, reactions for some trailers that come out. We're going to try to do some live discussions here in the future too. I don't know whether we'll do this on YouTube or we'll do this on my Twitch over at the Soda Man, the _ Soda Man on Twitch. I don't know if we'll do that. I got to work out those, logistics and all. But exciting times, many big things coming out. We'll react to them in real time to expand some more content for you guys. So it's not just the podcast. We're going to get this ball rolling. I'm very excited. Thank you guys for coming out today. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys are excited as I am. If you guys have any thoughts, questions, then all direct it over to me at the Sodaman OG on Twitter, or you could comment absolutely on YouTube. You let me know. What are you excited to see? What are you excited that could come out? Or what would you like to come out? It's a great time. But everybody, I appreciate yous. Have a wonderful evening. May the Force be with you. Bye-bye.